and we will move in and we will clean out all of these ugly landmarks that were left from the hours of madness so that we can lay the basis for moving forward in the rebuilding of Detroit.
They shot over 150,000 rounds of ammunition with those 50 caliber machine guns over the city.
It's a vacant dwelling, suspicious, below Harrison.
Law and order have broken down in Detroit, Michigan.
The automotive plants that were in the city started moving to the suburbs, basically abandoning the community in Detroit.
July 23rd, 1967, Detroit was hit by a riot which left 43 dead, thousands injured, and the city in flames.
The governor at about 3 in the morning committed the entire Michigan National Guard, as many as possibly could be brought into Detroit, to be brought in. Still, that didn't quell the situation, even though it was apparently the first time in this country's history where an entire state guard was sent into one city.
That was actually, to me, the destruction of our neighborhood, because after that, it was never built back up.
82nd Airborne Division and the 101st Airborne Division on the east of Woodward Avenue, and the 46th Infantry National Guard Division on the west of Woodward Avenue.
People should remain off the streets unless it involves public health.
The federal government should not intervene except in the most extraordinary circumstances.
Let me just say this, the Detroit Rebellion in 1967 is a defining moment in this city's history. After the police came and tried to raid the Blind Pig, and it was surrounded by about 100 workers on the street that started throwing bricks at the police. Then people broke down the street and went to the pawn shops first.
was African Americans essentially rebelling against the oppressive conditions they were living in, the economic disadvantages, the racism, the segregation, and they targeted the police because the police were seen kind of as the enforcement arm of the white establishment.
They arrested over 7,000 people during the Detroit Rebellion. The first person killed in the Detroit Rebellion was a white worker that was looting a store down on Trump.
Box alarm companies responding. Fire report, commercial building 8815 Puritan. Box alarm, fire reported a dwelling 3308 Theodore between Elmwood and Moran.
People had started moving to the suburbs. Obviously, we know the term white flight. This was the epicenter of white flight.
See soldiers and tanks on Mack Avenue is something like you never seen before.
I'm declaring a public state of emergency. I will promote such rules, orders, and regulations as I deem necessary to protect life and property. And to bring the emergency situation within the affected areas under control. There will be a curfew daily until further notice.
For the first time in a quarter of a century, a state governor requested federal troops to put down a disorder beyond his control.
This is short of martial law. Well, this is an emergency proclamation and it's not martial law.
Our biggest problem in the area has been the stoning and the throwing of stones and bottles at police officers.
There's some sniping, and in order to provide protection for law enforcement officials, some heavy equipment has been moved in to provide protection for them. Otherwise, they're in the open streets and completely exposed to some small arms fire.
So many shell cases laying on the ground that we picked up the empty 50 caliber machine gun shells, put rawhide on them, and wore them for necklaces as a symbol to the rebellion.
Engine 26 on the scene of incident. Alarm company is responding. Fire reported no foster care home at 1577 Cadillac.
You also had a rise in crime in Detroit in the 70s, and that was probably in large part to the economic challenges that a lot of people in the city faced.
Pillage, looting, murder, arson. They are criminal conduct. And the federal government, in the circumstances here presented, had no alternative but to respond.
The entire city appeared to be burning at that time, at least the entire west side. They had to pull out police in one section on the west side over there, send in the National Guard with armored vehicles to control the situation.
It made no difference what street you drove down, be it a major street like Woodward or Jefferson, or if it was a tiny side street, and it made no difference in the racial composition of the neighborhood. You could be driving in a perfectly quiet area, and suddenly gunfire was everywhere.
Fire to dwelling 18563 Huntington, 18563 Huntington, between Marguerite and 7 Mile.
I believe in the 50s, there were 10 or 15 new automotive plants built, all in the suburbs, none in the city of Detroit.
Anybody that went into the rebellion that didn't hate the police had to hate them when the rebellion was over.
And together we can move forward. And out of this great hour of sadness and adversity, we can build a better, finer Detroit for all of its citizens.